Hi there. This is a first for my channel to use Zoom and share the screen. This is kind of a new software for us. But today we're here with Pamela Elizondo, who is running for the Board of Supervisors in Mendocino's 3rd District. Hi there, Pam. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. It's wonderful.
Excellent.
And it's exciting, this Zoom thing.
Yeah, new
Learn
technology,
something
right?
new every day.
Yes, that's great. Okay, so Pam, why don't you tell us why you want to run for the Board of Supervisors there in Mendocino?
Well, I've been running for office since 1986. I started with the Peace and Freedom Party, and I changed to the Green Party in 2002. And I've been running with the platform of using our taxpayers' money only to put people to work restoring our earth. No defense, no unneeded building, no space research, nothing but restoring our earth. And I think the best way to restore our earth is to put people to work growing marijuana everywhere. I think marijuana can be used for every single thing, rocks, particularly toxic baby goods, plastic sacks, gasoline, a substitute for nuclear energy, coal energy, and hydro energy, an entire house with an incinerator toilet that takes no water and doesn't put a hole in the ground. And so I've run for Senate, State Senate twice, State Assembly 4 times, House of Representatives 5 times, and once in 2016 for U.S. Senate. And my platform has been the same. And then the position came here in Mendocino County, and I started thinking, I have so many people here in this district already that have been voting for me, so many. And there's so many people that really like what I say. And the marijuana business is really falling apart because of the big business and different things. But I've always thought that we could really save our earth by growing marijuana everywhere. And so I started thinking, well, gee whiz, this is Mendocino County. And the position is open, and so many people know me. And so maybe I could start healing from, the earth and its inhabitants from Mendocino. And so I put it together, and I have 5 simple changes to save the earth and its inhabitants. Here they are. I don't know if this will film it, but here's the one page. Can we see it?
Yeah, I can see that.
Clear the whole page?
I see down to tax-paying customers or consumers, I'm sorry.
And this is recording, right?
Yes.
Well, I'll send it to you in an email. But here, okay, well, this is my bumper sticker from 2016 when I ran for federal Senate. And can you see the whole thing? Jobs, not bills. Prosperity, not prison.
Excellent.
Guy carrying the marijuana. Okay. Anyhow, so I decided I would start here, and I formulated some ideas here in this county that a lot of people wouldn't really even know about or even think about as ideas. But I've lived all over Mendocino County and in 23 different places, and almost 22 of them were full of garbage. And I think that we could put mismanaged money by the county and the state and the city to work, putting people to work cleaning up the garbage around and taking it to the dumps. So that's 3 jobs right there, 2 jobs right there, cleaning it up, recycling it, and then transporting it to the dumps. And then the dumps should give 2 amnesty days a month so that everybody in the county can bring their garbage in as well. And the wreckers should carry in, give 2 amnesty days so we can take our cars in. And they do that now somewhat. Oh, my internet says. Now it just dropped off. Anyhow, So that's one job. And another job is we have many, many feral pigs that are in the land here and in many other states in the country. And I think we should put people to work that. I think that we should put people to work cleaning our ocean from the ocean side, and starting here and going outwards and cleaning the nuclear waste out of it, cleaning the plastic out of it. Put our military people around the Pacific Rim, take them away from the military and put them to work replenishing the kelp. And so I had these ideas, and so I'm running for it. And there's 7 other people running for the office, and we've been having wonderful forums, and we have a lot of good ideas, but mine is basically the soundest.
Okay.
I put on my paper, I advertise myself as, I say, other politicians complain and explain, but I offer real solutions.
Excellent.
And
let me ask you this. You talked about you would like to divert misappropriated spending. What does your county spend that you would change? Let's put it that way. The spending that your county does, where would you take from and finance these programs you're talking about?
The people in California voted against new prisons and jails overwhelmingly. And that was not the people who are going to go to prisons and jails. This was the people who don't want to pay for them anymore.
Yeah,
Governor,
go ahead.
Governor Brown took out AB 109, and he put $1 billion to build new prisons and jails. And so he gave our county 20 million, and he gave a whole bunch of other counties 20 million for new jails and supposedly the maximum security pods, because the prisons are full, and even though he's going to build new prisons, the jails get to keep the people in their jails now for maybe up to 10 years, at least 7. And I don't like the prison system. I don't like paying $62,000 to keep our people in prison. And I don't like the idea that we're paying probably 15 times that much to keep a person in the county jail. And 20 and like many, $15 million for just the jail, 10 million for the courthouse. Most of our people that are in the jails and in our prisons are 99% non-violent offenders, and they don't belong there. They belong in a job. And the city of Ukiah, they did $38 million for our county jail. $30,
I have to tell you, you're breaking up a little bit.
In the jail.
The internet is getting a little intermittent, so you're coming in and out a little bit. Do you see that on your end?
Yes, you're not moving on time with your voice.
Okay, so
but should I keep going?
Yeah, let's just keep going. So
okay. In the outlet, there's a newspaper here, the Ukiah Daily Journal, and called the Hometown Shopper, and it comes to our mail every week. And October the 18th and October the 25th, on the back of the Hometown Shopper, they told about how much money just the city of Ukiah holding back from. They're holding back almost $1 million from the sanitation group because the sanitation people here in Mendocino County are suing our county, and they have a $1,750,000 more appropriated for 2017 and the next 3 years. $1,700,000 for each 4 years for the lawyers to fight this suit. Well, I mean, we could put a ton of people to work with that money. And we could also put that money, they won't let us use the marijuana money, which is failing anyhow, in banks. So I suggest that we use that money from Ukiah alone, not to mention what they're wasting on the jails, and put it into a credit union and put people to work, going out and getting the land to grow the marijuana on and to produce the other businesses that I mentioned, and to get grants, put people to work getting grants to grow the marijuana, and people producing the product for the marijuana, and we could put everybody to work. If we paid people $15 an hour for a 30-hour work week, which is what my dad worked for all of his life as a union leader, a $15 an hour and a 30-hour work week. And we gave them a $300 a month living stipend. It equals $27,000 a year. If that's what with $27,000 a year, we could put almost 2.5 people in prison to work instead of into prison.
Yeah, wouldn't it be amazing if the money we spent on prison were just given to them for jobs that they could do to make our community better? I think that would be amazing. Hey, you also have some views about the DMV. What kind of changes would you want to make to the DMV?
I never voted for DMV, and it raises every year. And I understand it's a private business that's charging us. I mean, who are they? Who are these people that just come in? I mean, and every year they raise the price on my 2001 Subaru, and my son had his license taken away because they say he was drinking twice. And so they took his license away in 2004. They never provided anybody that he injured when the police stopped them, which is the Constitution. Anytime a policeman approaches you, he has to provide the person that you injured, or he stay away. And they picked him up twice for drunk driving, once running up a country road. We live in the country, and he was going up a country road in my car that the transmission was shorting out on. And so they said he was speeding, and they had their brights on, and they almost killed him, running him off the road. And so then they checked him, and that was the second time. They took my car away the second time. They took him down to jail, and they haven't let him have his driver's license back since. And now he's 38. And that was in 2004. And they pick him up every time they see him. It's like they put a chip in his brain at the school. Policemen, pick up this guy. And there's millions of other people like this. And he's getting very psychotic. And he's getting very suicidal. And I live with that. And now he has a 2-year-old son and a woman. And they're living with that. And he just got the place, he just got it arranged where he had financing coming in. He was going to get housing. He was going to get his unemployment. He has worked many jobs very, very, very well. And they took him away for 2 months because he couldn't afford to go to a probation meeting. And so now he's in jail for 2 months. And if he acts out in any way, they're going to make it 6 months. And it's just like, he's with millions of other people. And it's just really wrong for them to do that to him or to anybody else. when we have all this money? I mean, people talk about Trump, but Obama spent $1.6 trillion in 2008 and gave that to the, ripped off all the people for their housing money already. They had that money. They didn't need that money. And then at the end, he gave $1.6 trillion to defense. And my son and I were talking the other day. I don't watch TV. And we were watching, and they were talking about how Trump had something to do with these emails during the election. Well, who cares? They've got everybody in the United States jumping up and down and screaming about these emails and how awful Trump is. And I said, I don't care. What I care about is the $1.6 trillion that Obama gave defense. And my son said, just a couple of days ago, they mentioned that. And they mentioned that $800 billion has gone missing. $800 billion of the taxpayers' money. Now,
that's not the first time.
Choosing our lawyers. Huh?
And that's not the first.
Pardon me?
That's not the first time money has gone missing, is what I'm saying.
Oh, no. No, it just gets more and more.
Yeah. So let me back up a little bit. So what changes would you propose making to the DMV?
Well, if they have to know where all of us are every year, I suggested that the most they charge is $5 per vehicle. There's well over 28 million cars in California alone. There's about the same amount of trucks that they, 5 times $28 million, plus the trucks, plus everything else, comes to a whole huge chunk of change. You know, and it should be used to put people to work. But I don't believe it is. They say it's used for highways. Then why do we have to pay more taxes? They say because they're not just making $5. I went in and I non-opped my car, and I was one day late in non-opping it, and so they charged me $20 already. So that was $40. So then I went in this year, and I said, I want to non-op my car. And so she charged me the $20 to non-op it. And then she said, oh, but wait a minute. You non-opped your car last year, and you paid the delinquent fee. And she says, you're not supposed to have to non-op it again. And I said, fine, give me my $20 back. No, we already put this into the computer. So even though you're not supposed to have to pay anymore, I'm supposed to give you this tag.
Wow.
We're going to keep that $20, right? I mean, and that's just me. And I mean, it's terrible. I don't think that they should have a right to say that to us, that we have to pay that. In fact, they don't have a right.
So do you think that driving should be a right and they should not be able to suspend you?
There is absolutely a law. My son just came up with it the day before he went to jail last time. And it is a constitutional law. It says very plain, very, very plainly, every individual has a right to travel where they want, by horse and cart or by automobile. And they have a right to carry their family and their goods safely wherever they want to travel. And nobody has a right to restrict them unless they hurt someone. And that person has to be presented. And they've been attacking him for 20 years now without the right, and we have nobody to fight that. And so if nobody else has a right to stop me from traveling the way I want to, horse and carriage, or by car, automobile, it's how come DMV does? And DMV is in so much in conjunction with the courts. They get, my son got busted for driving. He had a light out, supposedly, which it wasn't out. And 2 o'clock in the morning, the highway patrol pulls him over and says, you got a light out. And then he says, oh, you don't have a driver's license. So they take away the car. I have to go down there and get him, take him around, and go. Then we go to the car again. And then the next thing you know, we don't even know when a court date is or what we have a court date. And so suddenly he gets up, and in Ukiah, they hold him for 23 days because down the road. And so they get him, and they said, at the end of this 20 days, they won't do anything to you in Santa Rosa. So we get Santa Rosa. Now, Santa Rosa's got this great big jailhouse and a great big courthouse and about 30 other courtrooms around the city. And Ukiah and Eureka has the same thing. And they're trying to do that in Mendocino County. And we have to pay for that over and over and over again. So he ended up going, we went down to Santa Rosa to take care of it. We went down to Santa Rosa 14 times, 100 miles each way from my house to tell them. And when he would get there, they would say, we don't know why you're here, but you've got to come back in 2 weeks. And so here I'm on disability and Social Security. And he can't get a job because he doesn't have a driver's license and nowhere to work up here. And so we is in jail. So that, and 16 to go get him. And so then we get this other thing, and they say, you need to put this gadget into your car before you start driving. Well, he can't drive. He doesn't have a driver's license. And so the gadget is going to cost $750. And he's going to have to breathe into it before he gets to, he drives the car. Right. And so 19 times. And he said, I don't have a car. I don't have a car. And so they get in touch with him. And so they say, well, you need this device. And he says, I don't have a car. So we went back down there and they gave us the paper. We took it to DMV. They said, we can't fill it out. So we mailed it to the DMV and they said, you're too late. Now you have to pay fees for all of the times you got caught driving without a license. And he already had done jail time and he has already paid fines over and over. You're not supposed to have to pay fines if you go to jail. And so, I suggest they just get rid of, not get rid if they need to know where everybody is. And then they're making more than enough money. And I don't have the right to charge us fools. That's constitutional. Any lawyers that we have should kind of thing rather than what we can do with marijuana.
So you talk about marijuana. What first of all, you said the marijuana system right now is broken. How is it broken, and how can marijuana help specifically improve our economy and our agriculture?
Well, since '86, I've been advocating growing marijuana everywhere, particularly in wineries. Our wineries, in 1975, this guy, Bobby, was in Napa, and I was working there, and I talked to him pretty seriously about what was going on there. And he said the reason that they were in Napa was because one of the owners of Bobby. He said the reason we're in Napa is because we're cutting the little growers out all over the state. The little growers bring their grapes to our wineries to get them processed. And he said, we're bringing our wine in from Santa Maria to Napa. Santa Maria, I understand, is down by Santa Barbara. So they're bringing them up by truck all the way up there, advertising Santa Maria grapes as Napa grapes, and cut out all the small ones. He said they were too many grapes. And it's all a huge write-off for all of the big corp. And so the guy who I ran against for House of Representatives 5 times owns wineries in Lake Napa County. And I kept telling him, I kept saying, put people to work marijuana with your grapes and other produce, food to eat. Grapes, if you go down the state from Eureka all the way down to Diego, on any one of the highways that you get there, their water, all of the produce, but particularly grapes, for miles and miles and miles. And that water is coming from Lake Shasta. When I went through Lake Shasta in 2012, the Sacramento River was about 1.5 feet deep and 20 feet across. When I went there in 2014, there was no water from the Sacramento Lake Shasta. And the lake was down all the way. Miraculously, maybe with HARP's help, we got enough water to almost fill up Lake Shasta. Shasta feeds all the way down to San Diego. And it goes all the way across to San Joaquin. And it's incredibly polluted the Sacramento River is incredibly polluted down below Sacramento. It has radioactive ingredients. It has trichloroethane, which is a terribly carcinogenic and poisonous substance. And we're feeding it to everybody all the way down to LA and to San Diego. And it's really an awful thing to do. You know, the very least that they could do is say, pass the bill to say no watering except 9 to 10 at night. And that's one thing that our government could do. The produce in the sun, none of it. Just 9 to 10 at night. And let it soak in all night long for an hour. And that's way more than enough, really. But they don't want to do something like that. Instead, they pass a bill for $3.5 billion for new prisons. You know, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
So let me know this, Pamela. You're running as a Green Party member. Why did you decide to be green, and why are you running as a Green Party member?
I'm running. I didn't really answer the question about the marijuana, and I'm sorry, and I will do that later. I'm running as a Green because I believe that they say that they want to stop global warming and save our Earth and its inhabitants. And I don't get a lot of support from the Green Party, but that hasn't stopped me from being a Green Party member. And I believe in what they say. I honestly believe that we can still save our Earth and inhabitants by going green. And I don't believe that going green means that we're going with solar panels and windmills. Solar panels and windmills take up a huge amount of land, and where people could be living, or and they don't ever grow underneath them or anything. And they both use incredibly toxic batteries, batteries. And in order to produce electricity at night, they would have to have those batteries everywhere, even in a single house. Those batteries are toxic to be around. Electric poles, baskets are toxic to be around. Microwaves are toxic. Dishes and the satellites that send them are toxic. Cell phones are toxic. All of these things we could produce with non-toxic marijuana produce. We could grow marijuana in all of the wineries. We can produce a whole house with an incinerator toilet, as I've said. We can just grow marijuana supposedly produces more water per acre than a forest, an acre of regular forest trees. And so what I suggest we do is that, our land up here, people say, oh, Mendocino is so beautiful. Well, I beg to differ. It could be a whole lot more beautiful. In 1992, 93, a friend of my son's and I were riding across the mountains, Branscombe Road between Laytonville and the coast. And we stopped at the highest point of the mountains, and we looked over to Fort Bragg. And he said, isn't it how LP cut down all of these trees so we could see the smokestacks in Fort Bragg, 15 miles away? You know, I mean, and it's 10 times worse now. You can see they're cutting the trees down, and they're still logging. And the fires are burning everything up and killing our wildlife. And nobody acts like that makes a difference. You know, so let's put people to work. You know, let's put people out there planting trees and using marijuana as parents for baby trees, and going through and taking out the marijuana and creating all the things that we need, like toxic plastic sacks. The government put a thing on the ballot and had everybody. I don't think the people know what they're voting for a lot of the time. I don't think they would have voted for top two if they knew that the top two meant that only the two people and the primary get to go to the general.
Right.
And in 2016, if I was the only Green Party on the ballot, U.S. Senate, and they didn't talk to us at all. The media talked about 5 top people that they picked. They picked Kamala and Loretta, and then they picked 3 men. And I think there were 2 Democrats and a Republican in those 3 men. And at 33 people were running for office, and none of our points of view got recommended.
So
and
that's
the only way
so that's interesting. So do you believe in ranked choice voting system, or what kind of system would you prefer?
Well, I belong to a group called, I can't think of it right now. It's the International Parliament, and it's they believe in everybody having a choice and being and ranked according to who wants most. And then, but I don't know how that works. I love what he's talking about, but I don't know exactly how it works. I kind of like the situation as we had it, where everybody runs for their party, and then whoever gets for the party I mean, I don't believe in labels actually, so I don't know how I would do it other than that. But if we're going to have labels, that they vote for the party, you know, like everybody do the Green and everybody do the Democrat. I mean, not that they have to be a Green or a Democrat. Just in the primary, they can vote for whatever party they want to. And then whoever wins that nomination goes to the general office. And that's how it has been.
Sure.
And I've been to the general election many times because of that. And I've won other people in the primary and gone to the general election. So and I think that's how it should be.
You've run for office quite a bit, like you just mentioned. I did look up, and I think a couple of times for state assembly, you've gotten 8%, even more than 8%. How is this campaign going for supervisor? Do you have a feel for
it? Well, our forums are pretty exciting, and you can hear them on the radio. There's going to be one, I think, tonight advertised from Thursday, this last Thursday in Willits. And I met one of my opponents I went to the Spare Time Supply. That's where we buy our gardening supplies. And it grew from a little tiny house where you went in and filled up your garbage sacks with your soils, to this great big honking business that's for Northern California. So, I mean, it was really a lot of fun. There were a lot of people there. Opponent came up, and I give out my campaign shirts, like the shirt I have on.
Oh, okay.
It's a marijuana
Peace
uh,
sign.
peace sign, and
Excellent.
it says nonviolent revolution. And
Great.
that's what I believe. That's my logo. And so he came up and got one of my shirts, and his wife came up and got one of my shirts. And just before they left, he said, "Hey, Pam," he said, "I'm kind of embarrassed about this," but he said, "I got an email right after the forum in Wits, and the email said, Pam Elizondo should be our supervisor because she's obviously the voice of the future."
Excellent. That sounds like a good endorsement. Yeah. Hey,
And so,
yeah. So Pam, if somebody wanted to contribute to your campaign or help you or volunteer to your campaign, how can they do that? Do you have a website or anything?
well, I don't really have I mean, I have my address, I have my Five Simple Changes platform,
Uh-huh.
and I don't have a way to uh, cash checks.
I see.
So if somebody wanted to send me cash and they wanted to, I sell my shirt for $5 colors. I have all to I have backpacks in five different colors, and they're really cool. And if somebody wants to buy those, they can send me, uh, $15, whatever amount of cash that they want. But it
Uh-huh.
has to be cash because I have no way to do it. And basically, I run my campaigns without money.
I
I
see.
ran my campaign for U.S. Senate. I think everybody should. And I think that the state should provide us with the ballot access. I don't think we should have to pay ballot access, any of us. And if we didn't have to pay ballot access, it would certainly cut out the competition for the big corporations,
Right.
you know? And if we all had, and this is part of my financial reform, uh, 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 political reform, we shouldn't have to pay for our ballot statement. I got last for the this was kind of comical. Last for my Senate race, federal Senate race, I got my ballot statement for the first time, and that was because we could pay $25 a word, up to $6,000. And I've never been able to have because you have to pay like $600 and more for, depending on how rich the county is. You
The,
have to
cost,
pay
the cost can
for
be
your ballot
prohibitive, that's for
statement.
sure.
Pardon me?
The cost can be prohibitive, that's for sure.
Oh, yes. And I do it all on my own. But this last time, uh, I got hit by a truck in 2007. The guy hit and ran me because he was a big mucky muck in Woodland. And so the guy hit me. And so I got $15,000. And a friend of mine, I had to give it away because I was on disability. And in
Uh-huh.
a few months, if I didn't give it away, then they'd take it all away from me. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I gave it away, and I thought I was dying anyhow. So I thought I better get rid of this money before I die. And
Uh-huh.
so a friend of mine has this big, huge property, and he owed $7,000. And so I said, well, far out. Here, take this 7,000. What did it matter to me? And so I saw him at a concert a couple of months before, just when I was starting to run for office. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm running for Senate, for federal Senate. And he said, well, how much do you need to get on the ballot? I said, $3,500. He said, oh, I have that for you. I just sold my property. So he brought me $3,500, and I could do it because it was like anything. And so I put it the ballot thing. Otherwise, it made it at all. It was 10,000 signatures, but as a green before, it would have been 150 signatures.
Uh-huh.
I could have gone for governor for 150 signatures if as a green without the top two. So
Right.
that's really. Um, I just don't think, I don't think we should have to have money. I think it would make things a lot clearer and better. But since I do, if anybody wants to send me some for driving and stuff like that, it would be wonderful. For more pictures, because I mean, I don't do like the others. I
So,
have one that's a very rich person
so
running against.
do you have a lot of support out there? Are people helping you, volunteering with your campaign?
No,
No.
they never have. But I have, people ask me who support me. And the people who support me, I go out and I get my signatures to get on the ballot, as many as I can. And I go down to the grocery outlet. And I go to the Mariposa, which is a health food store, big health food store in Willits. And I get signatures. And even some of the middle class conservatives vote, sign my petition for me to get me on the ballot. But mostly my support comes from unemployed people, homeless people, poverty-stricken people, Social Security people. The Social Security is taking money away from us right and left. There's so many Social Security people who have to work. Some of them are 80 years old and are working at Walmart. You know, I mean, that is a sin. That is just a sin, especially when you consider that our admirals and generals get like thousands and thousands of dollars a year. And then when they retire, they get their full Social Security benefits. They get their full wage, I understand. And they get all of the benefits of going to any hospital pretty much that they want. And here we have, I mean, they took $200 away from me here in 2013 because I live on my son's property. And he has a girlfriend that lives in the house. And I live in this scrubby trailer. It leaks. You know, I've done everything I can to keep my ceiling from leaking. And I can't keep it from leaking. And I live out here. And they said because she pays $650 and I pay $450, I'm benefiting by $200. So they took $200 away from me for quite a few months, and then they made it $157. So then I found out they can't do that to me. So I went down there and I complained last year about them taking the $157 for all those years, and they took another $86 away from me. And I'm living on barely $700.
Jeez.
And I'm getting more money than lots of those people that have worked all of their lives.
Right.
And that is disgusting. And the Mexican question, I love that movie, A Day Without a Mexican.
Yeah.
Everybody should see that movie. I mean, and it's just insane. They say, well, what about that guy that killed that woman, that girl in San Francisco? We should take away all sanctuary. Excuse me? One Mexican guy killed one woman? I mean, gee whiz. We're throwing people in jail here that don't even speak English. And they're going into jail for months and months and months, feeding the justice system and the prison and the jail. And they don't even know what they're there for. I saw this one when one of my son was in jail in Woodland. I saw him. See, now this is what makes me a good person running for office, is because I've had so much experience being terrorized by the system. So much experience. I worked at state hospitals, but this young guy, he was the cutest little guy. He was very small and very beautiful. I mean, he was already in his 20s. I mean, just really a beautiful young man. And he's standing there and he needs the interpreter. And the reason he's there is he's there for his third strike. And so the reason he's there that time is because when they stopped him, he presented the wrong driver's license. So they ran him through school, the court system and court system and court system, made thousands of dollars for the court system, and then they put him in prison for 3 years total.
Wow.
Not for 6 years, but 3 years, and kept him instead of even deporting him. 3 years in prison. This beautiful little guy. I mean, what's going to happen to someone like that in the prison? I mean, it just sickens me to think of what they would do to someone like that, and it just gets me sick every time I think about what's happening in our prisons.
So
and
you're for sanctuary cities, then?
Pardon me?
You're for California being a sanctuary state? Then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think I'm for the United States being a sanctuary state. If the rich guys from Saudi Arabia can come here, or Iraq, or any place else, and get their driver's licenses and stuff, why can't the Mexicans who were here first? Why? What is the thing? And why don't they see that putting them to work, putting everybody to work at a decent wage is going to stop a lot of the social problems we have? We can close down the jails and the prisons and the judicial system if we just put people to work and give them a decent wage and make it so that their families can survive. And one of the best ways to do that is to grow marijuana everywhere for all of its uses. I think I'm the only person who fights global warming with a practical solution. Everybody says, as I said, solar panels and windmills and this and that and this and that, cutting back on. We don't even really need to cut back on car emissions. A friend of mine named Daryl Tierney, who was in the car with Judy Berry from Earth First, got blown up. He sings a song called 1 Ton of Marijuana. And he says, and when the police come to pick me up, I explain to them that I use it for everything. And when I breathe the fumes make me high. So it's so funny. And everybody should hear that song, and everybody should listen to it. He uses marijuana for everything, and we should use it for everything, particularly for jobs and for water and for cleaning the air, the land, and the water. We should use it for all of that. A guy, a mushroomologist, I know it's not right, but many years ago on KMUD, our local news radio, said we can clean all of the logging poisons and everything by using horse manure, marijuana, and mycelium from mushrooms. And if we should put it into all of our wineries, they're very toxic. We should put all that in, and we should fill them up with marijuana. And at the end, we can take the marijuana and the grapes and the grape leaves, and we could make it all into gasoline very easily.
Interesting.
All into a substitute oil for nuclear, coal, and hydro oil, and make quadrillions. Think how much money our gas companies, our oil companies could make doing that instead of destroying our earth and helping clean up the air, clean up the land, provide water, and actually do something good for us while being outrageously really rich. It just doesn't make any sense for them not to do what I say.
That's very interesting. Let's wrap it up there, Pamela. I appreciate you coming on our YouTube page, and I wish you luck in this election. How does it look? You think you got a good chance there?
I don't like to be an optimist because I've had a very seriously tormented life.
Uh-huh.
Although I love my life, I have a wonderful life. But when I'm at those forums, those people are just laughing right with me, and they're just, and I've had so many other voters So I don't know. I can't say I'm going to, but I have an idea. It looks kind of good. But
Excellent.
this is going to help, not just for this campaign, but I just love that you're doing this for me because you're bringing my attention to the country.
Well, we'll get your name out there as the best we can. We're a small channel. We don't have a lot of viewers yet, but I'm trying to build it, and hopefully it'll grow, and we'll get you
But
guys
if
out.
you put it on YouTube, on Putin's, maybe Putin will get in touch with me. He's a fan of using marijuana for solving nuclear problems.
And you're a fan of Putin? Is that what you're saying?
I think Putin is really a good man.
Uh-huh.
I think I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm fantasizing, but my grandson and we talk about him, and I've gone to his YouTube, and I mean, he stood up against the United States because they went and attacked Syria.
Right.
And I guess they quit the United Nations because the United States just went. I know that he stood up against us when we wanted them to attack Turkey, and he said, "It's not me, it's not them." He said, "It is you." And I know that Global Network has a map of how many bases we have surrounding, and people should get in touch with Global Network. That's Bruce Gagnon and Global Network. And he's been fighting against this for many, many years, and he's a wonderful man, and his organization is a wonderful. I fight against drones. I demonstrate against drones. I've gone 3 times now. I'm going in October. We need a lot more people down there fighting against drones at Creech Air Force Base. It's about 47 miles from Las Vegas, and there's places to stay, and there's one, Code Pink is sponsoring it. And Code Pink is, the best.
They're great.
The very best.
Yes.
Medea Benjamin, and there was a woman named Ann Wright there, and she's fighting for Palestinian rights. And I mean, it's just very important in October that people go there for that. And I'm going to be there if I, can possibly make it. And I really want to. And I don't know. It's just very important to belong to different things. I can't remember, and it's just because I'm so tired from campaigning, but the International Parliament is, and James Ogle are who you get in touch with for this other thing, and that's very important. Since I belong to them, and they help me get a lot of votes, but since I belong to them, I've gotten people from all over the world with languages that I can't even begin to know who they are. And they're getting in touch with me because I believe in peace, and
Excellent.
because I believe in growing marijuana everywhere, and because I'm, for the people. And so, no matter whether I ever win a campaign, if I ever can get one country, particularly Russia and China and Brazil and Africa, and to start growing marijuana everywhere for all of their purposes, I think they're going to find out they're going to be very, very happy.
Excellent. Well, I hope your word gets out, Pamela, and I thank you for talking to us today.
And thank you so much. And if you want to talk again, give me a call.
You got it. I got your number.
Yeah, I got yours too. So
okay.
Thank you. Well, I don't have your number, but I got your Zoom.
You do have my email too.
Yes, I do. That's true. I can really harass you that way.
Thank you, Pam.
It was wonderful meeting you. Thank you so much.
Okay.
And you too. And I hope you remember, everybody, we need to fight for peace.
Yes. Thank you.